Hey everyone, this is Erin from the future, and by future I mean right after I recorded all this video and then started trying to figure out how to do the picture in the video thing. It didn't work out exactly like I had planned, and I know it's pretty small. So what I've done is I've made PDFs of all of the images that I've used, like not just the full graphs, but like every individual step. And those are, again, going to be hosted for free on my Patreon because that just seems like the easiest place to put stuff. Yeah, so let me know how this works for you, if it sucks, if you have any non-super hassly ideas about how to do it differently. Yeah. Hello, my name is Erin Peña, and I've been beading for about 20 years. In 2025, I was awarded a grant by the Minnesota State Arts Board to make this series of video tutorials covering the basics of the kind of geometric beading I do. I have a separate video covering the tools and materials I use, but briefly, I use Miyuki Delica beads, size 11, and Fireline thread, 4 pound. So today we're going to bead a peyote stitch triangle with a symmetrical flower pattern. So cute. I love pansies. Hopefully you've already had a look at the intro video that I made. I go over how to read patterns, some basic terminology, things like that. And today we're actually going to put that into practice. So to set the scene a little bit, you're going to be seeing the pattern on your screen next to this beading footage here, but I am looking at the pattern on my phone, which is off to the side here. So if I seem slightly distracted sometimes, it's because I am getting the pattern up, taking a look at that. The full patterns are going to be available as free downloads on my Patreon, which is linked in my bio and in the show description. They should be up. If you're seeing this video, the patterns should be available. So when I display the patterns on the screen for you, we're going to go one row at a time, building off of the rows previous, so you can see the graph progressing at the same rate as the beadwork. We've already done a fair bit of practice before now, so I may speed the video up a bit if we're doing like an especially long row that has no variations. There are a couple rows like that in the end, but maybe not. I'll only do that if I really feel like it's just empty space of me beading to reach the next row. So here we go. I'm gonna move this guy off to the side. So you can see I've laid my beads out and I have labeled them mostly for your convenience. The colors are pretty distinct in this pattern and there's only a couple of them, only 5, so they should be fairly easy to tell apart, but I know that computer monitors and things like that can make things a little tricky sometimes, so I just have them labeled, and just for clarity's sake. One thing I briefly want to mention for this pattern that I didn't do for the other 3 patterns, just for this one, our first one, on the picture graph, the working row is colored a little bit more vibrantly than the rows we already worked, just to make it a little more distinct and a little easier to see, hopefully. I didn't do that every time because I think it gets a little too complicated, but for this one, with only a couple colors, a couple very strong and distinct colors, I thought it wouldn't be too distracting to have the working row be a little bit more vivid compared to the rows that we're not working on. So if you notice that, that's what's going on. Okay, so first things first, grab your needle, get yourself a comfortable length of thread, no more than a wingspan, I always advise. And row number 1. So row number 1, we've got those 3 A's there, A, A, A. So this is our beginning row where we just pick up 3 A's. And we slide them down to the end of our thread, leave ourselves an inch or 2 of tail, just enough to weave in later, and we tie a square knot. One of the nice things about working with symmetrical patterns is that you don't have to worry about which of these 3 beads you string first, or which one your needle is coming out of at the end. They're all the same, so it's all the same. Okay. Take your needle. You can work either counterclockwise or clockwise. I work clockwise, but it doesn't matter. Slide through the bead directly after that knot there. And just give it a little tug so the knot goes inside the bead. Just a little bit. There we go. Okay, that's row 1. Row 2, we're adding a little color. So BB, which is in bold, so that means it's going to be corner or increase beads, and parentheses times 3, which means we do that 3 times. So 3 sides, 1, 2, 3 for a triangle. B, B, it's our standard triangle increase. It's just 2 beads in every corner, every row, until we're ready to stop. So 1, 2, 3, and as you go through this last one here, don't forget to step up. Don't forget to step up and come out of the first bead of the row you just worked to get us ready for the next row. Okay, there's row 2. Okay, row 3. BB, again, in bold. That means we're going to put 2 B's in the corner again, followed by an A along the side, times 3. So we'll do that sequence of 2 B's in the corner, 1 A along the side, 3 times. So BB, remember to try and get your triangle corner beads to lie next to each other like that. 1 A. Okay, we'll do that 2 more times. BB, corner, and A. And again, don't forget to step up. We're going through this B here, and also that first B of that row we just worked. Stepping up. Okay. There's row 3. Row 4 of 13. There are 13 rows. Okay. Now this one, CC. CC bolded, so that's in the corner, followed by 2A. That means there's going to be an A and then an A in the corner. I mean, along the side, excuse me. It'll be CC, 2C in the corner, then A along the side. So Pick up 2C. Go. A. A. And we write it that way. I already said this, but just to reiterate, we write the corners as 2 separate letters to indicate that they're both being placed at the same time. And that frees us up to use shorthand, you know, number 2A along the sides. Because it's distinct and also because it is a useful shorthand, like when we get towards the end, it'll be like, you know, 14E. That would be a lot harder to just be able to keep your place if you wrote like 14 separate E's out. Okay, A, last A. We're stepping up. Ah. Okay. Row 4. Okay, we're beginning row 5, and that's going to introduce color D. So row 5 is going to go DD in the corner, and then BAB along the sides. And this will actually be our last A beads in this pattern. So if you're a little weird about organizing like I am, you could clean any excess beads up and remove them from the mat. You don't have to. I'm just like that sometimes. So hopefully doing this pattern row by row is letting you really visualize the connection between the beads and the pattern. I think some beaders can get distracted or confused, you know, when they're looking at a full picture graph. With the zigzag nature of peyote, it can be hard to keep a straight line when you're reading it to be able to follow one row. I think some beaders use like a post-it note or a ruler to mark the rows out, row by row, to help them keep their place. I personally like to see the whole pattern. I think that helps me orient myself. Oh, knocked that aside. Yeah, I think seeing the whole pattern helps me visualize where I am in it better than like not having any context for like where the pattern has been and where the pattern is going. That context is helpful for me in understanding what comes next. But also my relationship to the pattern is different because I'm the one who drew it. So that may not work for everybody, but that's my mindset. All right, we're off to row 6. Okay. DD again in the corner, then C, 2B, C. And this is kind of the time I was talking about, right? When it's just blank space of me beading. I don't know how helpful that is to people. I guess, sorry, my thread keeps getting caught. I don't know how helpful it is to literally see me bead like this. I guess if you have any feedback about that, that would be appreciated. Because my instinct is to speed past it, but you never know. C, B, B, C. Oops. See, this is why it's helpful, so you can see when I make mistakes like that. If you do place a bead wrong, you can either unthread your needle and literally just pull it out, or if you have a thread that isn't going to split easily, you can just sew back through it. I think in yarn, in knitting rather, that's called frogging. Like undoing a step rather than ripping it out. I don't know, maybe that's just something my mom said. Anyways, back to B. Stepping up. Oh, thread getting caught. There we go. Okay. And now we're moving on to row 7. DD again. It's going to be DD for almost the whole way out in the corner here. Okay, so we'll go DD, then D, C, B, C, D. And you probably can see and hear that. The sides are mirror symmetrical as well, so flip it backwards or forwards and it's still going to be the same. And I did that on purpose for this, our first pattern. As we progress through the shapes, the patterns are going to grow in complexity. There'll be something new to mind every time. But with the triangle, mostly what we want to do right now is just get our eyes used to translating beads between pictures and letters. I personally almost never use word graphs. It's just harder for my brain. I don't know why, because I know a lot of beaters do like really prefer word graphs. And I did learn how to do them, you know, in the very beginning, but I think it's just easier for me, like I was saying earlier, to see the context of the pattern forward and backward. I can't do that with the word graphs. Getting my thread caught again. I will say, be careful with these matte beads, the beads with the matte finish. They're more fragile, they break a little more easily. And I think there's less friction, so it can be a little trickier to get your needle through. So just be aware, exercise a little more restraint, perhaps. Okay, row 8. More than halfway done in terms of rows, but there's more beads every row, so I don't know what that actually works out to percentage-wise. But anyways, DD in the corner, D, C, 2B, C, D. Again, that backwards and forwards. Symmetric action. Okay, D, C, 2B, C, D. Uh-oh, here comes a wild princess to see what we're doing. Please don't bump my camera. The people need that. Yes, walk across the keyboard. It's been really cold this year, and my furry roommates have been trying to capitalize on my body heat, fighting for space inside my hoodie. Fortunately, one of them's really fluffy, and the other one has an electric blanket, so they're fine. Don't even worry about them. Letters are getting hidden. This thing, it's quite small, so it basically moves a little bit, every time I pick up a bead or the thread catches it. The letters keep sliding up off screen. Sorry about that. And my hand keeps floating down, of course. But again, hopefully you don't need to see me place every single bead to get the gist. Okay, all right, row 9. DD in the corner, 2D, C, B, C, 2D. All right. D. Get those all situated nicely. Oh, I've got a knot in my thread. Excuse me. Okay, there it goes. All right. 2D, C, B, C, and another 2D. It looks like this is our last row for B as well. Down to just 3 colors, which must mean we're getting close to the end. Even though these matte beads are a little more fragile, like I was saying, I really love working with them. You know, they're semi-transparent, so they take light really well. And these ones I'm using have this lovely AB finish. AB is one of the acronyms for a type of finish on the beads. I think it stands for Aurora Borealis, but in practice what it really means is this sort of rainbow shimmer, which can be very powerful in like a standard opaque bead, but for these semi-mattes it's a very subtle sort of shimmer, which I really love, especially in like the blues and greens, teals. Sort of watery. I love color. Did I tell you that already? It's true, I do. Okay, last one. You don't have to go through both at once. You can do one at a time. There we go. All right. I have another knot in my thread. And now we're on to row 10. Oh, and it looks like we're introducing our final color. Okay. DD, 2D, E, 2C, E, 2D. Alrighty. Sit nicely. There they go. Hello, princess. 2D. Baby, if I can't see my pattern. E. How can I show the people how to do this? 2C. E. 2D. She's literally sitting right next to the bead mat. Oh, nope, now she's standing on me. Miss. Okay. Okay. 2D. E. I might run out of D here. I have more. I just like to have everything set up ahead of time. I'm such a nerd, sometimes I even count out the exact number of beads that I need for certain colors. Like I did that with A and B for this pattern. Cat hair. I wonder where that came from. Alright, 2D. E. CC. E. D, D. Okay. All right. Getting there. Row 11. Ah, EE in the corner. Then 3E, 3C, 3E. Oh, I think we're done with D. I had enough after all. Okay. I think another reason word graphs don't work for me as well is because I tend to start using fun names for colors in my head when I'm beading. Like not just red, green, blue, but strawberry or moss or azure. Maybe that's symptomatic of looking at bead tube color names. You know, there are thousands of colors, and retailers have gotten very inventive over the years with the kinds of names they use. Some of them have just stuck, of course. But it's not just color names. I'll also give them names relative to their function in the pattern, right? Leaf or petal or bark, stuff like that. Here we go. Which, I don't know that that's useful or interesting necessarily, but I guess it's just to say, you know, color is such a huge part of why I do this. I think embracing the richness of language around color just really amplifies that for me. You know, in a way that using letters is just not the same. Through one, and then through the next one. Okay. Almost there. Okay. The penultimate row. Second to last. And this one we're ending on, not ending, but this row we only have one in the corner because we are finishing off our triangle. We're not increasing anymore. And our last row will be in no corner. So, bolded, we have 1E. So, just pick up 1E. And there we go. 1E in the corner. Okay. And the sides are 4E, 2C, 4E. I definitely just knocked into the camera there. Sorry about that, everybody. It's on a sturdy base, but you know, sometimes my limbs are in places I do not expect them to be in. Cut that bit out, save y'all a bit of motion sickness. So if you saw the video jump, that's why. The longer your string, the more likely it's going to catch on stuff. But also, the longer your string, the less frequently you have to begin a new string. It's all a trade-off. And stepping up through our one in the corner there. Okay. Get ready for the last row. Row 13. Okay. No corner. And they're going 5E, C, 5E. And we've come this far. May as well finish it out. Go through the corner and slot it over like that. Okay. And down the next side. Sheesh, I might actually run out of E. Huh. I have more. It's fine. And even if I didn't, this is a teaching piece. I could use a close enough color. Sheesh. I'm gonna be 2 beads shy. Yeah, hang tight, I'll grab those. Okay, final 2 beads acquired. Finish strong. Okay. Oh. And I have another knot, and there we are. All right, we can weave our tails in. Over here we can do a figure 8. Sewing our needle through a couple beads in one direction, and then flipping it around and coming back the other direction. Oh, hitting the screen again. Okay, pull it tight. Okay, and then move my needle over to our tail. And I'm just going to sew this through a bead or two. Made my tail a little too short. Sew it through, because it's already got a knot, but there we go. Just so that it doesn't go anywhere. All right. Trim your threads. And there we go. Peyote stitch triangle. All right, hopefully that was instructive and helpful. And if it wasn't, please let me know. Again, all links are in the show description. And next time we'll do the hexagon. Okay, peace out. Bye.